If you drove past the Hastings house in the Maple Creek subdivision, you'd think you were looking at the American dream. White shutters, green lawn trimmed like a golf course, 2 expensive cars in the driveway, and a teenage daughter who looked like she walked out of a TV show. Eden Hastings, 16 years old, was lakeside high royalty. She had the face, the grades, the status, cheer captain, AP classes, homecoming court, and over 70,000 followers hanging on her every filtered photo. Her mom, Diana, ran the PTA and a wellness blog. Her dad, Dr. Michael Hastings, was an orthopedic surgeon who still wore cufflinks to dinner. They had a calendar for everything: family game nights, SAT prep sessions, even gratitude Sundays. Eden's life was curated, perfect, glossy. Until it wasn't. It started on a Friday night at Natalie's house, one of those no-parents, Lakeview parties where everyone pretended not to care who was watching. Eden had already taken 5 selfies by the pool when Natalie pulled her aside. "Try this," she whispered, handing her a sleek silver vape pen. "It's mango. Barely anything." Eden smirked. She'd seen it all before, but this time she didn't hesitate. She took a hit. And she liked it. Not just the flavor, but the burn, the way it made everything fuzzy at the edges. It was nothing. Until it wasn't. 2 weeks later, her little brother Caleb found an empty cartridge stuffed into the side pocket of her makeup bag and showed their mom. Diana confronted Eden with the softness of someone trying to pretend it wasn't a big deal. "We're not mad," she said. "We're just surprised." Eden didn't blink. "It's not drugs, Mom. Literally everyone at school vapes. Get over it." Michael didn't take it so well. He'd spent his life doing everything right. He stared at her like she was speaking another language. "You think this is funny?" he asked. "You think this is who we are?" "No," Eden said flatly. "This is who I am." That was the moment everything cracked. Because what her parents didn't know was that she'd already moved past the vape. One of Natalie's friends, 20, tattooed, a dropout named Jace, had slipped her a little blue pill at a party. "This one slows you down," he said. "You'll sleep like a queen." She took it with a sip of hard seltzer and floated through the night like it didn't belong to her. From then on, Eden learned to chase that silence. The hush. The absence of pressure. She found more pills in Jace's car. Stashed in mint tins, in breath strip containers, in lighters that didn't spark. By mid-October, she was taking something every other day. Nothing too heavy, nothing scary. That's what she told herself. Just something to take the edge off, to drown out the noise of being perfect. But perfection leaves evidence. Missed practices. Foggy test scores. Eyes ringed with shadows that no concealer could hide. "Are you okay?" her mom asked one night, voice quivering. "Just tired," Eden said, brushing past her. But it was more than that. And it was getting harder to cover. On Halloween, she showed up to a party already slurring her words. Her costume perfect. Her coordination not. She tripped, laughed too loudly, and someone took a video. It ended up on Snapchat. Michael saw it 2 days later from a colleague's daughter. That night, they searched her room. Her makeup drawer, her jewelry boxes, her pillowcase. They found 3 pill bottles without labels, all of them stuffed into an old candle jar. The confrontation was nuclear. Eden didn't cry. She didn't even flinch. "You can't keep pretending we're this perfect family," she said. "I'm not your project." They grounded her. Took her phone. Made her see a therapist. And for a week, it seemed like maybe they caught it in time. Maybe this was just a teenage thing. A phase. But then, one night, Eden collapsed in the laundry room. Her lips pale. Her pulse slow. Her mother screamed. Her father, trembling, called 911 with the precision of a man used to emergencies, just never his own daughter. At the hospital, the talk screen lit up, benzodiazepines, amphetamines, something else they couldn't fully identify. Eden was lucky. The ER doctor said it twice. "She's lucky to be alive." Diana held her hand and sobbed. Michael couldn't look at her. And then Eden's phone, locked in a drawer back home, buzzed again. A message from a number saved only as Blue Heart. It said, "Got the real stuff now. Strong. You in." Eden hadn't hit rock bottom. She was still falling. The Hastings house didn't feel the same after that night. It was like the oxygen had changed. The blinds stayed drawn. Michael stopped going to the golf club. Diana took down the family photos from the foyer, said she needed to reorganize. And Eden, well, Eden came home from the hospital like a ghost wearing her old skin. She said the right things. Nodded through therapy. Took her meals in silence. Said she was done. But the truth? She never really stopped. Not entirely. The night she came back from St. Catherine's, the youth rehab clinic her parents shipped her to for 2 weeks, she messaged Blue Heart again. "I need something clean. Nothing sketchy. Just quiet." She knew what she was asking for. And Blueheart delivered. A baggie hidden in a lipstick case dropped into her locker during third period. Nobody saw. Nobody ever did. To the outside world, Eden was in recovery. Her followers called her brave. Her school counselor called her resilient. Her mother called her my baby again, like those words could erase the hollow behind her daughter's eyes. But inside, Eden was just getting better at hiding. By December, she wasn't taking pills every day. Just on the days when the pressure got too loud, when Natalie posted bikini photos with zero cellulite, when her dad asked if she was back to her old self, when she stared in the mirror and didn't recognize the girl looking back. Jace had moved on, apparently busted in a sting for selling weed at a skate park. But Blueheart stayed in touch, kept the stream going. Only now the pills were stronger, the names longer, the colors less friendly. Eden didn't ask questions. She swallowed and waited for silence. Then came the night of the winter formal. Eden showed up in a dress her mother helped pick out, looking like a porcelain doll in gold heels. But halfway through the dance, her pupils dilated. She stumbled. Her speech slurred. Natalie tried to steady her, but Eden shoved her away. "I'm fine," she hissed, mascara already smudging. A teacher stepped in. Someone called her parents. Diana arrived breathless, scanning the crowd for her daughter and seeing only a girl she no longer recognized. At home, the fight exploded. "You promised," Diana screamed, fists shaking. "You said you were clean." "You don't know what clean is," Eden shot back. Michael sat in the corner, head in his hands, silent. That was always his thing. He didn't shout. He disappeared. And later that night, he left the house without a word, didn't return until dawn. Diana cried on the kitchen floor. Eden locked herself in the bathroom. The next morning, she was gone. She left a note, "Don't look for me. I'll be fine. I just need to breathe." They checked Natalie's. Nothing. They called every friend, every cousin, every hotel. Nothing. Eden vanished for 3 days. And when they finally found her, curled up in the corner of a motel room 2 towns over, the air thick with the sour scent of sweat and something worse, she was barely breathing. A used syringe lay on the floor beside her. The EMT said the word her parents never dreamed they'd hear. Fentanyl. A word like a bullet. Sharp. Final. But Eden survived. Again. By inches. By pure luck. Or maybe by curse. Because when she opened her eyes in that sterile hospital bed, the first words she whispered weren't sorry or help. She said, "Did you tell anyone?" After initial stabilization and monitoring, Eden was transferred to a recovery ward with stricter controls. And Michael realized in that moment he didn't know who his daughter was anymore. The hospital room smelled like bleach and plastic and something Eden couldn't name, something that made her feel like she didn't belong in her own body. Machines beeped in quiet rhythm and the 4 taped to her arm tugged every time she shifted. Diana hadn't left her side in 2 days except to cry in the hallway. Michael came once, said he had surgery scheduled, then left. But Eden saw the truth in his eyes. He didn't know how to look at her anymore. She wasn't his golden girl. She was a shadow of what he thought he raised. They moved her to a recovery ward with stricter controls. This time, it wasn't a fancy clinic with aromatherapy and wellness coaches. This was state-run. Sharp-tongued nurses. Cement floors. Group therapy with kids who looked way too old for their age. The girl across from Eden had track marks on both arms and a broken tooth. The boy next to her hadn't spoken since he was admitted. "You don't belong here," Diana whispered through tears on visiting day. But Eden did. And she knew it. She just smiled and asked for more applesauce. She made progress on paper. Learned to say the words the counselors wanted. "I'm working on myself. I'm rebuilding trust. I'm learning coping tools." But inside, she was keeping a secret. The fentanyl wasn't hers. She didn't even remember using it. But the needle, she hadn't used one before. Ever. Which meant someone else had helped. Someone else had been there in that motel room. But Eden didn't remember who. Or why. Or how. It came in flashes. Blueheart's voice. A party. A burning sensation. Darkness. Then nothing. When she told her therapist, they upped her sessions. Called it trauma fog. Said it would pass. But Eden wasn't so sure. When she got home 6 weeks later, the Hastings house had changed. Her room was gutted. Her phone locked up. Her social media wiped clean by her mom in a fit of desperation. Michael barely spoke. And when he did, it was mostly about rules and curfews and how this family needs boundaries now. Eden nodded. Said all the right things. But late at night, she lay in bed with her eyes wide open, heart racing. Something was wrong. Not just with her. With everything. The memory was coming back in pieces. The motel. The second voice. the smell of citrus and cologne. Someone she knew. A hand on her wrist. "You'll be fine," the voice had said. "Just close your eyes." And then one night, while going through the old texts her mom had forgotten to delete from her backup cloud, Eden found it. A photo. Blurry. Dark. But there was her arm, limp. A couch. A table. A shadow of a boy leaning over her. And she recognized the ring on his finger. It wasn't Blue Heart. It was Caleb's best friend. Eden stared at the photo until her hands went cold. The resolution was low, but the gold class ring with the black stone was unmistakable. Tyler Reyes. He'd been in and out of their house since middle school, a good kid by every parent's standards. Smart, polite, played varsity soccer with Caleb, even mowed the Hastings lawn over the summer. Diana adored him. Michael always said he wished Caleb had half of Tyler's drive. And now that same boy was in a photo leaning over her unconscious body with a needle in his hand. Her stomach twisted. She couldn't breathe. She tried calling the number the photo had been sent from disconnected. She tried searching the file metadata, but it had been scrubbed clean. Blue Heart didn't exist anymore. Whoever they were, they'd vanished. She almost told her parents. Almost. But then she remembered how Diana had burst into tears just seeing Eden look at a bottle of Advil. How Michael had changed the topic every time someone brought up her hospital stay. They didn't want truth. They wanted peace. Eden knew what would happen if she said Tyler's name. Her brother would explode. Her mother would unravel. Her father would blame her. So she stayed quiet. But the silence was suffocating. She went back to school 2 weeks later. People whispered in the hallways, but no one said anything to her face. Her old friends avoided eye contact. Natalie transferred schools. Her parents found out about the pills. She got pulled from school. Her name had been dragged through group chats like a warning label. Eden walked the halls like a ghost. She went to class. Ate lunch alone. Sat in therapy. Laughed when they told her to journal. But the photo haunted her. Then one day, she saw Tyler in the parking lot. He didn't see her. He was leaning against his car, joking with a girl Eden didn't recognize. His hair longer now. The same damn ring still on his finger. She froze. Her hands shook. Every instinct screamed to run. But something inside her twisted tight, rage, clarity, something primal. That night, she waited until the house was asleep. Opened her laptop. Logged into her mom's cloud account, the one she used to monitor family safety. She found the photo again. Stared at it. Zoomed in until it was grainy enough to make her nauseous. Then she dragged it into a folder labeled Insurance. She wasn't going to be a victim anymore. 2 days later, Eden texted Tyler. One line, "Meet me at the Overlook." No one else. "You owe me that much." He replied 2 minutes later. "Fine." Midnight. She showed up 10 minutes early. Stood at the cliff's edge, wind slicing through her jacket, phone clutched tight in her hand. Headlights lit up the gravel behind her. He stepped out, same cocky smile, same varsity jacket. "Didn't think you'd actually text," he said. "You don't remember that night, do you?" Eden didn't answer. She just held up the phone, screen glowing with the photo. His smile vanished. "You drugged me," she said, voice steady. "You could have killed me." Tyler didn't speak for a second. Then he laughed cold, short. "You were already messed up. I just gave you what you were asking for." Eden stepped forward. "You're going to confess. In writing. You're going to say what you did. And if you don't, this photo goes to the cops. Your parents. Everyone." But Tyler just stared at her, something unreadable in his expression. "You sure you want to do that?" he said softly. "You sure you want them to know everything that happened that night?" She blinked. "What are you talking about?" He took one step closer. "You're not the only one with secrets, Eden." And then he said something that made her blood run cold. "I wasn't the only one in that room." Eden didn't move. Her brain clawed at the words, trying to make them mean something else, anything else, but they hung in the air like a toxin. She wasn't the only one in that room. "What do you mean?" she asked, but her voice came out thin, almost childish. Tyler tilted his head like he was sizing her up, deciding just how much truth she could handle. "You think I kept that photo as leverage?" "I didn't. That was for him. To make sure he knew not to screw me over." "Who?" Eden's heart slammed in her chest. "Who else was there?" Tyler just smirked. "You already know." And then he turned, got back in his car, and drove off. Gravel crunched. Taillights vanished into black. Eden stood there alone, the cold biting into her skin, a pressure building in her head like something was about to split. She walked home, didn't remember how. Her ears buzzed. Her fingers trembled. It wasn't until 3 a.m. that the name came to her, a memory she'd buried. Caleb, pounding on the bathroom door 2 days after her overdose, begging to know if she was okay, sobbing so loud the neighbors had asked questions. But there was something off about that night. He'd been too shaken, too scared, not just for her, scared like someone with a secret. Eden stared at the ceiling until sunrise. The next morning, she waited until he left for school, then slipped into his room. It still smelled like cologne and old soccer cleats. She searched everything, desk drawers, his laptop bag, even under his mattress. Nothing, until she opened his closet. At the back, stuffed behind a winter coat, was a metal lockbox. She pried it open with a hairpin. Inside were a few rolled joints, some cash, and a burner phone. Eden powered it on. It buzzed to life. There were only 2 numbers in the call history. One was Tyler. The other was labeled with a heart emoji. But the messages stopped months ago. Then she checked the photo gallery. Her hands went cold. Dozens of videos, snaps, clips from parties she never remembered attending. Her face, laughing, eyes glazed, sometimes unconscious. And in the background of several of them, Caleb, looking straight into the camera. She dropped the phone. Later that night, at dinner, her family sat like nothing was broken. Diana talked about a church fundraiser. Michael discussed a new surgical case. Caleb smiled, ate mashed potatoes, and Eden stared at him. "I need to ask you something," she said, steady, quiet. "Were you in that motel room the night I OD'd?" Caleb dropped his fork. Diana's head snapped up. Michael froze. "What?" Caleb's voice cracked. "No. What are you talking about? You're lying." Eden stood. "I found your phone." And the silence that followed was so loud it felt like a scream. Diana turned white. "What phone?" Michael slammed his palm on the table. "Eden, enough." But Caleb was already shaking. "You don't understand. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I just wanted her to stop." She wouldn't stop. Eden took a step back. "You set me up." Caleb looked at her, eyes glossy, full of something she couldn't name. "I just wanted Mom and Dad to see what you'd become." Then Michael stood so fast his chair fell back. Everyone shut up. And in that moment, Eden realized the truth. This family was broken long before she ever touched a drug. The house was silent except for the ticking of the kitchen clock. Caleb's confession still echoed in Eden's ears like a gunshot. Diana looked like someone had slapped her, stunned, frozen in place. Michael's jaw was clenched so tight his temple pulsed. Eden didn't move, couldn't. Caleb sat back down slowly, as if he had just realized what he said out loud. "You were destroying everything," he whispered, not even looking at her. "The perfect family, everything they worked for. You were throwing it all away and no one would say it. So I did." "You drugged your own sister," Michael said, his voice eerily calm. "You brought her to a motel and left her to die." "I didn't know it was fentanyl," Caleb snapped. "Tyler said it was the same stuff she always took. He said it would just knock her out for a bit, scare her straight." Diana gasped, tears finally breaking through. "How could you do this to her? To us?" Caleb turned to her, eyes wide and panicked. "You never looked at me. You never saw me. It was always Eden this, Eden that. The golden child. Even when she started using, you still made excuses. Still protected her. But when I needed you, when I wanted someone to see me, you told me to be more like her." The room spun. Eden's legs gave out, and she slumped into the nearest chair, shaking. "You could have killed me," she said, voice raw. "I know," Caleb said quietly. "I didn't think it'd go that far." Diana stood, walked into the hallway. When she came back, she held the family portrait that used to hang in the front hallway. The one where they were all smiling, dressed in navy blue and white. She looked at it for a long time, then let it fall. The glass shattered across the hardwood. "I can't do this," she whispered. "We are not who I thought we were." Michael picked up the house phone and called 911. "I'm reporting an incident involving my daughter and son," he said calmly, like he was talking to a nurse. "One of them was nearly killed. The other's responsible." Caleb stood up. "Dad, Michael turned. Don't. Sit down. You're gonna tell the truth now. All of it. Took 8 minutes for the police to arrive. When they did, Eden stayed seated, silent. Caleb went without resisting. Diana sat on the porch, sobbing into her hands. And Michael stood like a statue, watching his son disappear into the back of a squad car. Weeks passed. Then months. Caleb was charged as a minor, tried in juvenile court. Tyler vanished. Rumor was he left the state. Michael testified. Diana didn't. She couldn't. She moved out 3 weeks later and never came back. And Eden? Eden got clean. Not because anyone told her to. Not because of rehab or guilt or therapy. But because she finally realized the truth. She had survived something that was never supposed to happen in a family like hers. And now she owed herself the life they never prepared her for. She finished high school online. Cut ties with everyone. Started taking night classes at a community college. Worked at a bookstore. Wrote poems in the margins of old paperbacks. But some nights she still woke up gasping. Still felt the needle she never remembered. Still heard her brother's voice whispering, "I just wanted someone to see me." She kept the photo, the one of Tyler leaning over her. Not to punish. Not to remember. Just so she'd never forget what truth actually looked like. And one night, nearly a year later, Eden sat on her roof under a sharp black sky, staring at the stars. And she whispered into the cold air, "I'm still here." She was. Somehow she still was.